Post it up.
Post it up.
76.
76.
Bodie B.
Bodie B.
Stand the clip.
Take time to get away from my mind, and surely I'll find something sublime that redefines my crimes against humanity, creates a new reality for my brothers and I. The most high, mixed to the bakery, and cover stay high, stare into the night sky, trigger conversations in relation to our lives. It's fine, aligning our thoughts to support curiosity, fulfilling our prosperities. These moments are components of a greater omen, homing the strings, brings to space. That's why I skate off.
Just act however you would. Just natural.
On the desktop, drop a couple bars on the beat, take a seat, read through the notions of emotion.
My name is Cullen, and I'm an addict.
It's the first thing I do in the morning, and the last thing I do when I go to bed. So bad. But like my boyfriend does that exact same thing as well. He's like worse than me though.
Remember the weather the day we started to date, a stormy night.
Just while he's like kind of going to sleep, he'll be like, and then as soon as he wakes up, he's like, oh, where's my vape?
My favourite thing about vaping, I would say the spins, but I don't really get them anymore. The morning spins.
Do the math, your problems are trash. Get up off your ass.
You know, when you start drinking when you're 16, like everyone else starts drinking because it's like you get that FOMO and like you all want to be cool and you want to fit in. It's probably like the same sort of thing. Like we all want to fit in, so we all just, you know, have a vape. And everyone's like, kind of like, why aren't you vaping? Remember how you tried to quit? So that went real well, didn't it? You interviewing yourself.
I can probably only think of one friend that has like never vaped or doesn't vape.
I don't know, I started doing it just for something to do at parties. Just because when, you know, if everyone else has one, I was like, I'm not going to be the one that doesn't have one. And when I'm drunk, I just want a cigarette anyway, so I was like, no, I'll just get a vape. But then I guess it kind of, because I had it and then, you know, woke up the next morning, not a party anymore, but I was like, I got a vape.
I think in the long run it is going to cause a lot of problems. I'm sure putting a whole lot of smoke in your lungs isn't good for you. But at the moment I think it's too of a newer thing for research to really show that, like, you know, people are going to get, you know, health issues from it.
And I know like a couple of my old man's mates, their kids, I know one of them had to get got a popcorn lung. Oh, his lung collapsed because like he got popcorn lung. His lung collapsed. He was in the hospital, and while it collapsed, he got pneumonia, so they couldn't actually operate on it until the pneumonia had gone. So he was pretty fucked up, and that was only after like 3-4 years of vaping. So it's like, I don't know. We could even get 5-10 years from now, and everyone's, you know, fucked up. Because they had to pump like 2 litres of liquid out of his lungs or something, 1 litre to 2 litres out of his lungs.
If I'm driving to work and then I realise it's kind of gone out and I can taste it starting to burn, then I'll be like stressed out. And like the other day I had to go on my break at work to go and get some vape juice because I wouldn't have been able to vape for the rest of the shift, and like that was a problem. But
I suppose vaping helps people quit cigarettes, but then they're just jumping from one addiction to the other because they're still getting that nicotine hit, so they're going to be just as addicted to, you know, probably even more addicted to their vape than they were to cigarettes.
I don't know, it's kind of scary to think if I couldn't, like, if I wanted to quit, if I could or not. Because I'm very much in denial about needing a vape. I think it's because I never wanted diaries or anything, so I was like, oh, well, you know, if I'm vaping, it's not like the same addiction in vaping. And I was like, I don't know. I'm very in denial about it. Like, I think I could stop if I wanted to. I feel like a lot of people think that though.
So nobody has a final result yet. I mean, that's the crazy thing. So it's probably not going to be for another 10 years or so until we really know what the long-term health effects of vaping are. So I actually had a call from a doctor. I think they're like a neck and throat specialist, but they've been seeing patients and seeing the harmful effects of vaping. The cell studies and animal studies are already showing similar harmful effects as smoking. So one study on mice has shown an increased chance of cancers, and a few other mice studies have shown emphysema developing, which is similar to smoking. If you're a smoker, you kind of have that one cigarette. You might go outside and have one cigarette every hour or something, but with these cigarettes you can actually puff on it all the time, you know, because it's not just that finite unit that you're using. So I think people sometimes are using them more often. You know, with smoking, there's first-hand smoking and second-hand smoking, but there's even third-hand vaping, and that is where the chemicals, you know, if you exhale inside, they lie on, the chemicals can stick on the surface of things. So you can actually, if someone touched that surface and puts it in their mouth or something, you know, there's a potential contamination that way. I don't think there's been any research like officially showing how many younger people are using e-cigarettes. And the worst thing with younger people starting to use them is that with their brains still developing, like teenagers' brains are still developing. So if you get addicted to nicotine at a younger age, it's harder to give up.
I drive past the high school like after work sometimes, and I see all the kids out there just like vaping and like big as like clouds of smoke and stuff. So obviously it's way too accessible for them.
I mean, vaping wasn't even a thing when I was at college, but I know now through one of my friends, kids aren't allowed to go to the bathrooms anymore during class because kids were just going to class to vape in the bathroom.
You can literally just see kids vaping on the side of the street and you're like, you are 12. Especially when they're all like passing the vape around, you know, and you're like, Yeah, I don't think it's ideal, because then it's one of those things that if you have that habit early on, you're just probably going to have another habit later on, like either drinking or smoking or drugs, you know, so it's definitely not ideal for kids.
It's bad because we're, I guess, the guinea pig generation of like, you know, we're the ones that are gonna figure out the bad health outcomes for it.
If someone was to ask me if they should start vaping, I would have to say no. You think you'll be able to quit, but it's fucking hard. I don't know, am I allowed to swear? Okay, cool. It's fucking hard.
Take time to get away from my mind, and surely I'll find something sublime that redefines my crimes against humanity, creates a new reality for my brothers and I, the most high, lifted
The thought of hitting my vape right now will just like disgust me. But I have one sip of alcohol and God, I'm a fiend for a vape.